welcome to the Voice Mood. I'm your host, Olivia Peck. Do you wish that you loved your singing voice a little bit more? You just want to enjoy singing. You want to like the way your voice sounds. Maybe you don't want to be like the next Mariah Carey or anything. You just want to enjoy singing and you want to find your voice. Well, I think you've come to the right place. Today I'm doing a little Q&A. I'm going to be going through my comments through my videos this week and last week. And if you have a question about singing, go ahead and ask it in the chat, and I will do my best to answer as a voice coach what you are wondering. We do this almost every week, and I'm looking over here at my comments. Hello! We have one of our regulars here, so go ahead and chime in if there's anything you are curious about. We're going to be talking about pitch today, having better pitch, vocal warm-ups, and a lot of other stuff. So I'm really excited. It's going to be really fun. So let's go ahead and start looking at the questions from the week. What is going on? Oh, here we go. Let's see. All right, I'm going to go to the beginning. Let's see what we got. Okay, so I had a video this week about pitch and how to have better pitch. And so this was one of the comments. Great comment. Regarding pitch, when I record myself singing along with a song, I sound awful. But when I sing from memory, I sound better. Not great, but better. But of course, my rhythm is all over the place and I can't hold pitch very well. I am still usually sliding up to what I think the correct pitch is and just wavering around the pitch. Ugh, a lifetime of anxiety, mostly about singing. Been told I was tone deaf or just terrible singer my whole life. It's so detrimental. I would love to break free from this. Wow, I bet this resonates with so many people. So many people. So we kind of went back and forth, and I was able to talk to the singer a little bit more, so I have a little bit more insight. But it really came down to, this singer knew when she wasn't singing the right pitch. And there's a difference between knowing when you're not singing the right pitch and really having no clue. So sometimes it's harder while we're singing for everyone to know if we're singing the right pitch because we're singing. We're kind of busy doing something. So it can be difficult for anyone to be super positively cognizant of every single little thing you're doing while you're singing. When you play it back, that's when you can hear some things. We're all critical on the playback, okay? We're all critical of a playback. So just know that's normal, and you're probably going to be very, very hard on yourself when you listen back right after you sing something. That's just something I notice a lot. Anyway, with this singer, since she can actually identify when she's sharp or flat, what I recommend is focusing more on getting to know your voice and how it operates throughout your range. As I got to know the singer a little bit more, she was really focused on just trying to nail the pitch in songs and stuff like that. And what I encourage is this is when warm-ups can be really great as not just training your voice and your different voices, but ear training. Warm-ups can double as ear training. Highly recommend thinking of your warm-ups that way because you're going to kill two birds with one stone. What the heck is ear training? Ear training is training your voice and your ear to identify intervals and pitch ascending, descending, high, low, that type of thing. If you're not sure where to start with ear training, just start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. The do, re, mi's are designed after the scale. So, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. If you can learn your do, re, mi's, great. because you're learning how a scale works. And then you can start to go, okay, now I'm going to do 1 5 1 do do mi so mi do. Learning those little intervals is really, really great. Okay, it's going to train your ear and your voice to bounce around, identify, what that feels like, and you'll start to build a little bit of that muscle memory, if that makes sense. But I'm also going to talk about some apps later that were recommended to me that help with this as well, because some people really do benefit from a visual. All right, so we have some comments here. I feel like as a baritone, I feel we mostly stay in our chest. I feel like baritones rarely use mixed voice. Depends on the singer, I would say. Some baritones are gonna sing only in mix, it just depends on who's singing, and the style. But that's a good point that, some vocal styles or types might lend themselves to certain styles. Maybe, I'm not really sure. Actually, I don't know if I even would go that far. I would say basses, like the lowest voices, I think maybe sing in mixed voice less, maybe, but I'm really not sure if I can really say that either. Voice type just means where your range is. So it doesn't mean like you only sing a certain style or something. Um, okay, so I stay mostly in A2 to D4. I don't like the sound of my mix. Then I ask, do I tell people my full range E2 to G5, or do I just sing in my comfortable range as I mentioned? Range is just one of those things. It's like talking about belting, okay? People have different definitions and different ways of defining their mix, their belt, their range. The way I identify range is, yes, how low or high someone can sing. More specifically, though, typically someone's range is where they're comfortable singing. Like, yeah, sure, technically I can be like getting super high and break a window probably. But do I sing way, 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 way up there? No. So I'm not gonna really say like, well, I can sing an E6 or what F6 or something. No, because I really don't sing up there. Technically, yes, I can screech up there, but it's really out of my range. So I would say like, what's your top most comfortable, low most comfortable? That's generally how I would determine range. But I'm not gonna like I'm not gonna judge anyone who's like, well, I can get up to it's like, well, okay, great. That's fine. You can kind of define range, belting, how you want at this point, because there are so many different definitions out there that it's just, yeah, that's my opinion. Okay, let's go to the next question here. La la la. Oh my gosh. Okay, next question. All right, here we go. Let's see what this person, Harsha says. Singing with the throat aligned in line with shoulders is recommended. So, how do Olivia Rodrigo and Taylor Swift sing high notes with their necks lifted up and with full control? Such a fun question. I really like this question. I feel like I kind of answered this before, actually. I don't think it was this question necessarily, but it was something similar at least. Basically, what they're asking is about singing posture. You hear a lot about proper singing posture. So, head slightly down, shoulders relaxed, feet shoulder width apart, one foot slightly in the front with your knee slightly bent, rib cage slightly lifted. That's typically singing posture. But you might see famous people and people on stage doing crazy stuff, okay? With their neck, with their body, and they're not singing aligned. Well, the way I think of it is singing at some point, it's kinda like riding a bike, and you know when you're riding a bike and you're really good at it, you can, like, take your hands off and put your hands in the air? But some people can, some people can't. It's like that. Some people, they can sing upside down. Some people are like, I am only standing when I'm singing. Some people prefer to sit. I'm serious. Some people really do prefer to sit. It's just depends on the person, but it's kind of like once you get the feeling of singing what some people call supported, or what I prefer to say, like connected with your breath, once you know how that feels, you can move around a little bit. You might be able to sit, you might be able to do a backflip while you sing, you know? Once you kinda learn how to sing properly or get comfortable with it, you might be able to do some backflips, so who's, doing backflips while they sing? I'm not. Okay, we have a comment. Yeah, if y'all have questions, drop them in the chat. I would really like to know what you're wondering about singing. Alright, let's see. I avoid songs that require octave jumps. A lot of Christian music does. I get discouraged a lot because of that. That's fair. So if you have a lot of jumps in your music, it's understandable that that's going to be tough. Whenever I have like a beginning singer, for instance, in the studio, I don't assign a song or recommend a song that's jumping an octave. What's an octave? That's like if you're singing down here and it's low and all of a sudden it jumps up here. Like I think a lot of Queen songs do that. They'll jump way up. Or I'm trying to think of a classic that does, but there's quite a few songs that jump up a whole octave or span more than an octave. And when you do that, you just have to be really comfortable with the key, really. I mean, if you think about it, because if it's too low, um, then maybe the high part is comfortable, but maybe it'll be too low. If it's too high, it's gonna be too high on top, but comfortable in the middle. So you have to find something that's, like, comfortable low and high, and that's kinda hard to do. So it's really important that if you have a song that jumps around a lot and you're able to put it in a key that you've been able to test out the whole thing, that's great. If you can't do that, I would rely on voices you just know you can always sing. Like, really lean on your head voice in those high parts. If you can't change a key and it's really, really high for you, lean on that head voice if that's just like easy to access. Don't push yourself to belt or go into mix if it's too high for you to do it there. If it's low, 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 think of it as like a speaking part. Just relax and do it. That's what I always say for really low stuff is, like, throw some of those low notes away. It doesn't all have to be sing out perfectly. If it's like a really low song would be, "Maybe you thought I hung the moon. Maybe you thought we were Johnny and June. Maybe you thought it was just us two. Just us two." I don't have to sing it full voice. Just us two. Maybe see how I kinda threw it away? Just us two. Maybe too soon, So that kind of thing. You can kind of throw stuff away. Anyway, that's what I'd say. That's what I'd say. All right. I digress. I digress. Going to the next questione. Let's see. A lot of good questions this week. It was really fun to see what was going on. Oh boy, this one's a good one. All right, so this was on the pitch video as well. And it's from Camelius. He's definitely commented before here. And he says, I've dealt with this a lot. I've got to add to your already good list. I went through kind of a list of why you might have pitch issues. Okay, vocal health, especially dehydration, affects my pitch a lot, especially since I was dealing with chronic local dehydration due to meds that I didn't realize. Nebulizer helps. I believe I've brought this up before. Yes. Make sure that you are hydrated. Your vocal folds are very delicate little muscles. They really need to be hydrated to function properly. They really, really need to be hydrated to function properly. If your voice is raspy and dry, you probably need more water. A nebulizer might help. Talk to your doctor about a nebulizer. If you don't know what it is, it really can help. Okay? All right. Let's see what else. Ear training helped me a lot. I believe this was also kind of addressed in the video, but I will definitely jump on board with reiterating this, okay? Ear training is like warming up, like riding a bike. You just got to do it at first, maybe more than you're comfortable with. Might get boring. I mean, who wants to sing do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, di, la? Who wants to do that? Nobody when they're an adult, really. Well, it is important to get some sort of ear training. Here's a hack for ear training. Sing the same warm-ups consistently. Just stick with the same ones. You'll start to get in the habit of like what a slide feels like, what going up the scale feels like, doing little skips feels like. You'll start to get that. Extra great if you can like do some piano. Piano's like a visual thing. It's, in my opinion, like just as good as having an app that you can look at. You can look at the piano, you can learn a little piano. You don't have to become a piano master, but just kind of learn a little bit. Okay, it will help your ear training so much, you guys. Helps so much. I was forced to like learn piano when I started teaching, like actually learn it, and it changed my life. It honestly did. It changed my life. I was so much better at singing and just being more accurate, and so I really recommend learning a little bit of piano, and that'll help with your ear training a little bit. All right. Let's see. Let's make this bigger and see what else. When talking about sharp and flat singing, I was surprised you didn't mention monitoring. Often we sing flat if it's because we can't hear ourselves properly against the music, and the opposite true for being sharp too. All right. Good comment. This was funny. Okay, so I had said monitoring is kind of similar to the idea of getting just confused by the music, the background music. Sometimes you get confused with the harmonies, which is something I mentioned in the video, or the backing track of the music with the video. And this person is like, yeah, but what about monitors? He's talking about the monitors you put in your ear when you're on stage so that you can hear the music properly, the music yourself and everything. This is a good point. This is an issue people do have, live performers have. If you can't hear yourself right, you might not be on the correct pitch. To be quite honest, this is not an issue people come to me with. This is an issue that exists, but typically when people are coming for a voice lesson, they're not on stage yet. They're not at that point. And I've never even worn those. I've never worn those. I don't perform rock shows, pop shows live. I do singer, songwriter, guitar type things. So that's what I do. That's what generally my students do, or they do musical theater. It's not a lot of inner ear or monitors, but that is an issue. That is very real. It's just not the general public doesn't really have to deal with that. But if you do, know that that is an obstacle. So I'm glad that was brought up. All right, so I'm going to pause this list because I have a question in the chat. If y'all have questions, feel free to ask. I love to read your questions. Hi, Heather. When did you start singing, and how did you discover you could sing well? Well, that's a really fun question to answer for me. But when I really think about it, like nobody told me early on, wow, you're a good singer. It was more like, you sing a lot. You love to sing. So I was not like a naturally super great singer. In fact, I really struggled with singing, which is probably why I'm a teacher now, is because I know the struggle. But I started singing when I was a kid in church choir, and then finally I got singing lessons pretty young. Like my parents put me in singing lessons because where I grow up, it's pretty normal. We live where we're from, Traverse City, Michigan is where I'm from. It's a very classical opera heavy place. There are places like that in the world. For some reason, where I'm from, it's probably just the demographic. Opera is huge here. Okay. So it was very big to like learn how to sing properly, like from like classical technique. So anyway, I digress. I started that when I was probably like 14 or something and did choir before that and everything, but it took me a while to find my groove. Oh boy. Callie. Thanks, Callie. She couldn't remember my tagline, millennial vocal coach. Oh my gosh, thank you. Hi, Callie. So yeah, my if you need it's so terrible. Basically, Kelly said like I couldn't find you on YouTube like I wanted to find. It's really tough. Y'all, YouTube is vicious. You can subscribe to a channel and you won't see their videos unless you like consistently watch them. So, if you are subscribed to me and you are like, "Oh, I don't want to miss out." Seriously make sure you hit the notification bell. I also do have a Facebook group, which a lot of these peeps that come on the lives, they're in the Facebook group, so they kind of stay up to date. And that is um, the Voice Mood Network, but the link should be in the description. Anyway, I'm just going on a tangent with that. So you can join the Facebook group and you can stay in touch, or you can go to my website, oliviapeck.com, and just shoot me a little email like, hey, I just want to like be up to date with stuff, and you know, maybe we'll take a lesson or not, whatever you want to do. You can just do that. Yeah, but I started with classical singing. Um and I actually it was taught to us very young that pop singing and musical theater and belting was glorified yelling, which is what I was told. I wanted to sing pop music, but I didn't really have much of a choice. They told us, like, and that was really common back then. Like, even just, I'm 31. So think about when that was a very common idea for professional singing, like, and learning how to be a good singer was like opera was superior. And it's really changed. Like it's turned upside down. I mean, it's crazy how much that has changed. In fact, in the Facebook group, I'm posting an article by John Henney. If you don't know who that is, he's a great teacher online. He's a real deal, and he talks a little bit about that in a podcast episode about like just how much voice teaching has changed. Like, I'll tell you guys something. It used to be very much based on like it used to be very much based on feeling. Like, it was not a lot of science. It was more like, I don't know, like head voice, you should feel it up here, and chest voice, you feel it here. And some people still teach that, and I certainly will tell people that if it helps them. But now it's a lot more nuanced and like, think about your body, and this is your larynx, and your vocal folds vibrate like this. And it's way more in depth. And it's honestly confusing for the for people because I think people like are confused on the internet. They're just going, okay, so what's the method? Which one should I follow? And it's pretty jumbled up right now because you've got the classically based people, you've got the science people, you've got the people who are very good teachers, but maybe not the best at knowing all the new science. Because that's another thing. You can have someone who's pretty good at yapping, but is just trying to keep up with all the information. So I try to like keep up. Trust me, y'all. I try to be like I've learned a lot even in the in real time. I'm always learning, and I'm passing it on to y'all. New articles or who we should be listening to and in the technique community and stuff like technique community. Yeah. Okay. But just trying to stay up to date. Like Emily Kristen Morris, is a really good account to follow, for instance. There's tons of great singers, but there are some really well-researched instructors out there, and I just try to be the, you know, put it into words that maybe you vibe with, I guess. That's kinda my strength. I hope that makes sense. Good grief. Anyway, but yeah, I was classically trained. I went to University of Michigan, and, it was great. It was a good time. Trained with several voice teachers. Went to Italy, studied in Italy, opera. All right, let's go to the next little questione. Hey, whoa, all my questiones are racing ahead. Let's see what we've got here. Okay, was that all of the camellias? Oh gosh, okay. Um, okay, vowels, yeah. So another thing that helps tuning is being aware of your vowels, diphthongs, and acid reflux, so vocal health again. Yeah, so there's a lot of things that can mess with your pitch, like surprising reasons. Like surprising reasons, I know, so eloquently stated. But here's some things to think about. I made a little list. If you're still struggling with pitch after all that, I have a little list here. It could be a number of things, but ask yourself, is it due to not having good audiation? Okay. That's where you're able to think of the pitch in your head before you sing it. If not, I would go the route of ear training. Ear training, warm ups, ear training, warm ups. Is it your technique? Like we're talking about vowels, diphthongs. If you're singing a vowel, oh, hang on, just hang on for a minute. And you're going, hang on, just hang on for a minute. You're not really opening, you're not giving the vowels the space they need or the brightness they need, or sometimes a roundness. Might sound kooky, but it's true. What we call in the classical world pure vowels can still help in pop singing. Hang on instead of hang on, that type of thing. I don't know if that made any sense, but technique can greatly impact your singing. So diction, making sure your breath is connected. Okay, you're not falling off the breath. I talk about this in the video. Timbre. A lot of people get confused by timbre. Really ask yourself, do you know what timbre is? Do you know what that is? I'll tell you. It is the sound, the quality of the sound. A lot of people hear, for instance, someone like Adele, and they think she has a really low voice. She doesn't have that low of a voice necessarily. I mean, it's lower maybe, but it's just that raspy or smoky tone. Some people confuse tone quality with pitch. Does that make sense? Some people get confused. They'll not be able to identify a pitch on a piano, but they can identify the pitch with a voice. If that's you, if you can hear the pitch more when you hear a singer, you might be getting confused with timbre. And that's where I would also look at ear training, really recognizing the core of a pitch. And that's kind of hard to explain, but and that goes kind of along with like getting confused with the sound of a music and getting lost in the music. Yeah. So that's what I would say. Here's what I would say too. Yeah, could be your sinuses. There's so many things. But yeah, if you're plugged up and think about it, you're plugged up, might make you kind of flat. Common thing. A lot of nasal, too much nasal, flat. So many things. It's almost mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling, folks. But here's what you can do. Learn a song perfectly. Every single little note. Learn that song right on the money, every little note, exact, the rhythms exact. If you can do that, memorize it. That's going to train you a lot with your ear, the type of singing you're doing, that kind of thing. Another thing would be consistent with those warm-ups. I don't know if you guys know who Jessie Norman is, but she's like an older classical singer. And she was like, do the same exact warm-ups every day, because then you'll know, if one day your warm-ups are kind of weird, it's just the day, and you can kind of recognize that. Like, that's why doing consistent warm-ups makes a difference, because our instrument is not the exact same every day. It's just not. It's our body. Anyway. All right, let's look at the next question in the yappening. Of course, I pressed something weird. If y'all have questions, feel free to ask in the chat. Happy you're here. Oh, I've got a question from Callie. What's twang? I see videos about it, but haven't had a chance to study it. Thanks for asking, Callie. That's a really good question. All right, so twang is one of two things. It can be nasal twang or oral twang. So nasal twang is that pretty nasally, near. I'm on the deep end. Nasal twang is helpful when we're talking about strengthening a belt sound without adding too much chest voice. It's a good way to sort of thicken a voice without using your chest, without going, without shouting, I'm on the deep end. I just put it more nasal. Oral twang, my cords are a little tired, so I feel like it's harder to do it right now, but would be like the meow, the more piercing, clear sound. I'm on the deep end. It's more clear, it's more flexible. You can add a little vibrato. That's more oral twang. Adding the whole little vibrato thing, that's kind of like an anecdotal thing. Okay. But it's a little more flexible. It's got a little bit more ring to it. That's my description of it, but you can feel the difference if you do nya, 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 and then you go meow, 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 meow. You can kind of feel the difference. Oral twang, I feel like, is really changes it is the smile. So if I were to do like, I'm on the deep end, okay, or if I go, I'm on the deep end, that's also kind of a hack for twang. Ooh, that felt a little rough, but I hope that helps. Very good question. I love talking about twang because then I get to do my little, what I think is a New Zealand accent. I'm still working on it. Ooh, that wasn't as good as usual. Okay. I'm very, very intent on working on my New Zealand accent. You're welcome, Callie. You're so welcome. Happy you're here. Happy you found the channel again. Good grief. Sorry it was such a difficult journey to find us. All right. This has been so incredibly helpful. Oh, y'all have to tell me if you would find this helpful as well. I've gotten emails about this. This video that I'm about to talk about didn't get like a ton of views or anything, which is fine. I don't care like that much about it. But, when you're on the World Wide Web, you're kind of like, should I keep doing this? Like, I don't know. But I made a video where I was playing through covers. You can see it on my channel if you're interested. Let me know if that's helpful for you. I was playing through them and like kind of working them out. And a lot of people said it was helpful. A lot, like personally. I'm not saying like everybody was like, wow, thanks. But people were reaching out and being like, wow, that was actually really helpful. So if you'd like to see more of that, let me know, because I might add another live or something like that, where I'm like practicing, and if that would help you, like, let me know if you think that would be helpful. Anyway, it was really kind of scary, honestly, to practice live, but I'll do it, sure. That's all right. I do have a question. I use too much vibrato when trying to sing more pop. It sounds more classical. What's a good exercise to sound less classical? I'm gearing up. Okay, Chris. If you are singing with too much vibrato, it sounds too classical. Um, try using less breath. Just try to see what happens when you sing more with a speaky volume, speaking breath. I'll show you the difference. I'm on the deep end, watch as I dive in. Less breath, more speaky. I'm on the deep end. I'm on the deep end, watch as I dive in. Okay, it's not perfect or anything, but you can hear the difference. Why? It's scientific. There's a reason for it. When you take too big of breaths, and I mean, maybe we're all different. Maybe it's just you have a really big lung capacity. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. Don't quote me on this. Might be harder for you to take smaller breaths for whatever reason. But when you take a really big breath or it doesn't even have to be that big. But if it's too big for a pop sound, your vocal folds spread apart, and that's what we want in classical music. You want your vocal folds and that space to be open and for them to vibrate, and like you want that open sensation. Not so much in pop. You don't want a lot of breath, you don't want your soft palate as lifted, and you don't want your larynx as low. That is way oversimplifying, but those are kind of the things to touch on. So you want it to be closer to your speaking voice. Thank you so much, Nicole. Thank you. That's really sweet. You guys were so sweet to pop in on that live when I did the covers. That was really fun. Okay, Chris. You looked really mad when you answered that question. That's what I don't understand. I don't know how to take smaller breaths. Well, I don't know, man. Like I'm definitely not mad. I just struggled with something very similar for a very long time. And I see it as a very common thing for people who come from classical or who sang in choir. It's very, very hard to adjust to smaller breaths. And it's one of those things that I can say it and say it and say it, but it's a really hard adjustment. It's like something I can't do it for you, you know what I mean? It's just something you have to find. Now, with that being said, that's just my assessment. There could be another reason, and I have to give that little piece in there because I think that's what it is. That's normally what it is people taking too big of breaths, opening up too much, and not adjusting to more speaking stuff. However, without hearing you recently or being in a voice lesson and trying a bunch of different things, that's the one thing that is hard to do here. So yeah, because it could be something else. It could be another reason. I don't think so, but it could be. So, a good way to like practice singing with smaller breaths for the purpose of pop music is to literally try to sing with like the smallest breath in the world, like barely breathing, and see what happens. I mean, obviously you don't want to sing like that, but you might realize you really are taking absolutely giant breaths and it's just not necessary. So yeah. Yeah, a lot of church music and gospel music, you're taking really big breaths. It's just a different style. It's a different style. Okay? Nothing wrong with it. It's just a different style. All right. So let's see what other questions we had in the week. Y'all have some really great questions. And if you have more, drop them in the chat. I'd be happy to answer. All right. So a little bit more about pitch stuff. See if there's anything else in here we should maybe touch on here. Any tips to maintain my voice Because of work and other things, I often forget to warm up and my voice has been feeling more tense. Aw. Okay. I know at least some light exercises are better than nothing, but I really struggle with implementing what I've been told. Singing is one of my favorite things. I just sometimes lose motivation. That's fair. So, when you are going about your week, just kind of check in with yourself. How does your voice feel? Like, does it feel dry? Does it feel raspy? Does it feel tired? Usually you can kind of feel that. Like right now, my voice is a little tired and I can tell. Other days I'm like, woo, my voice feels awesome. And I'll sing a little bit more than usual. When you are going throughout your day, there's a lot of like famous singers, Broadway singers who don't go to loud places, don't speak loudly. There was, like, this big thing when I was growing up to speak in your head voice. Literally, they would tell us, "Speak in our head voice sometimes to save our voice." I don't wouldn't necessarily go that far, but you can learn something from that. It's like, you don't have to speak on your voice all the time. You can kind of lighten it up a little bit. Add a little bit of a sigh to your voice. I mean, you have to experiment with it, see what feels good for you, but make sure you're, breathing when you speak. Even sometimes people like they don't breathe when they speak and they kind of like speak on their vocal fry and it's not a very supportive sound at all. And that's another way to tire out your voice. So just think about how loudly are you speaking? Do you need to speak that loud? I'm not trying to make anyone talk quieter or anything, but just think about like how much you use your voice throughout the week. If you're drinking caffeine, if you're taking medications, if you're taking ibuprofen, all these things can affect your voice. So just being mindful and thinking, I do want to save my voice so I can sing a little bit this week. That might be like a good thing to think about. Um, Another thing too is when you're not sure what to practice, like, hey, what should I practice? What should I practice? I don't know what to do. Well, I would just take a song that you like and create some sort of goal. Maybe memorize all the notes. Maybe memorize it well enough, the notes well enough to sing it with a karaoke track. Give yourself little challenges. And another thing too is if you're worried about wearing out your voice when you practice, I know it's hard, but don't sing the whole song. Just go to the parts that are challenging, drill those parts. You can even practice it on like a hum, practice the notes on a hum or with your straw. Ooh, instead of singing full out. And it'll save your voice and then you'll have enough energy probably to sing through the whole song a couple of times. But just kind of pacing yourself. Another thing, y'all be careful about singing in the car. Be really careful. I basically stopped singing in the car. When I'm on a road trip with Jeff, I will sing in the car and it's basically a concert for me. I'm like, okay, Jeff, are you ready? And I'll sing Lady Gaga and all my favorite songs because if it's a 17-hour drive, I'm going to have a concert. But if it's not a 17-hour drive, if I'm just driving around town, I do not sing in the car because it can be really tiring. You can't hear yourself. You can do this while you sing in the car. Then you don't have a hand on the wheel, though. That you can hear. Some people plug one ear when they sing, but again, kind of need to use your hands. So, wouldn't recommend that. But if you're at a stoplight, you can hear yourself. Much better if you put both hands in front of your head or ears. Try it. It works. It's a little trick. Because in the car, you really can't hear yourself, and then you oversing, and then it's just not good. All right, so let's look to see if there's any other questions in here. I don't think so. Maybe no. Okay. Well, if y'all have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. This has been really good. A lot of meaty questions today. Really meaty questions and really fun. I would say there's been sort of a theme in the voice studio this week of things going on and things that have come up. And a big thing is what I like to call noodling around. So, When you sing a song and you don't quite know the words, especially don't quite know the notes, you might be doing what we call noodling around. When you noodle around, your technique inevitably suffers. Sad. Yes, I know, but it's natural. We're all human. We don't all have time to memorize everything, so it's okay. Now, I really recommend learning a song well, learning the notes well by themselves. So, when you first learn a song, it's okay if you don't do everything all at once. Okay? So, when you're learning it, let's say it's someone like you again, you don't have to go, I heard that you're trying to follow along with the lyric video or whatever. Sing it on to like an ah first. Ah. Another tip. This is so boring sometimes, but it works. Play the person singing. You listen. I heard that you settled down. Pause, pause, pause. See if you can repeat it. I heard that you will very quickly find out what notes you're not getting. You will learn the song slowly, but faster in the long run. And your technique is going to thank you because you're going to know what note you're landing on. If you don't know what note you're even landing on, you're like, I heard that you settled down. Then you're just noodling around, and then your voice doesn't know where to go, and you can't prepare for anything. So, anyway, something to think about. All right. Theme of the week was noodling. We all noodle. Okay. I noodle. It's okay. It's not a big deal. So everybody does it. All right. Here's a great question. Do you like Nickelback? Yes. I appreciate Nickelback. Do you consider him a baritone? I don't know. I don't know. I don't really think about him that much. I don't think about Nickelback and his voice that much. Every little wise man. Wait, that's not the right artist. Put a picture. No, look at this photograph. I don't know if he's baritone. I'm not sure. I'd have to really do a deep dive. Not sure. A lot of people are not one thing. It's like, yeah, if they're like baritoners or they just have a lot of really well-known artists are kind of good at singing like through a very wide range. So it can be hard to tell. Oh, I noodle around way too much. Me too, Nicole. We all do it. It's okay. We're all a little bit of noodlers. All right, something else that I wanted to talk about today. The aging voice, which I kind of feel weird talking about because of my age, but it's very important. Your voice changes a lot throughout our lives, and I've even noticed it's not fully developed. Like, it's not fully developed until, geez, I'm not going to put a number on it because it actually is different for different people. But it can be like when you think about the larynx, it's cartilagey. Okay, it's soft. It's soft when you're born. It does not harden up until you're in your like 20s. Okay, so that's going to affect your voice. Your bones, when you think about your voice being your instrument, your bones shift a little bit as you get older. Your rib cage, I don't know if it droops, if that's the right word. Anyways, there's so many things. Your lung capacity changes. So it's something to think about. Why do I bring this up? I think everybody should be aware of how to keep your voice healthy, how to make sure you're staying hydrated. There are some people, teachers, very well-known teachers who will be like, you only have so many high C's in your life. God only gives us so many high C's. Something to think about. So just taking care of your voice, thinking about the long term so you can sing as long as possible. And if you are an aging voice, to think about how to be like realistic and appreciate your voice as it is too. Because if you're thinking, oh, why isn't my voice quite as clear here? Well, you know, you might have to do a little extra work than you did when you were in younger years to get a clear sound. There was an exercise specifically recommended in a webinar I watched. I'll post it in the Facebook group of creaking like that's a really good jeez Louise, that's so weird, but that's a good exercise for belting, pop singing, and the aging voice. It just brings the chords together and a way that is helpful because it's harder to do that as we get older. Okay. What is your opinion about covers that don't sound anything like the original? I think it's great when people sing covers that are very different. People, I've seen like the argument of like, it takes away from the beauty of the song. Okay, well, people like it usually. I mean, people want to hear all kinds of different things. I'll tell you what, when I'm on YouTube and I'm trying to find a lower version of a song for a student, it's like, I only like this type of music. I'll go on YouTube, I'll try to find a cover that maybe they would like, that would fit their voice more. So, I really think it's valuable to have a bunch of different covers out there, in my opinion. That's a good question. Callie, it's a lot of vocal coaches on YouTube, but I can tell you know what you're talking about. Thanks, Callie. I sure do try to bring you guys some best information I can. And I appreciate you saying that. I really try. There are a lot of things out there. Um, there's some channels that I watch and appreciate, and it's kind of funny. Some of those channels that you're like, oh, it seems kind of gimmicky. No, like Cheryl Porter, I know seems like really flashy. I think we can all agree though, she's the real deal. That kind of thing. Like I love Cheryl Porter. I love uh Chris Lipe. I love his tips and advice and his take on using different voices. And they're like big ones, but there are lots of smaller ones that are great. Like Emily Kristen Morris, big fan of her. So there's and she's not a small creator either, but there's some really good ones out there. Do you perform live? Any tips or insight you can share? Yeah, so I do perform. I'll do stuff with my guitar, piano, keyboard. I also do musical type things, like musicals for film. So I was in a short film that was a musical, and I was also in I don't know if you've heard of the Polar Express train ride. It's a live train ride show. They have them in Los Angeles, New Orleans is where I did it, and Chicago, New Jersey. There's a few different locations. Anyways, we basically do the Polar Express show, but it's like a musical and we sing and we dance and all that stuff. So I've done that for several years, and like princess stuff, princess parties and singing for that, and but mostly now I'll do my guitar and just sing covers and maybe a song I wrote, but not a whole lot. Anyway, tips for that. So I would just say the most important thing is to prepare. Prepare, 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 prepare. And if you're doing a musical or a show, what's very important is that you take care of your voice. Take care of your voice. Like the day before a show, I am resting. I'm not trying to overdo it. I make sure I stay hydrated through the run. Now, it was really hard. For instance, we had several shows a day on the Polar Express and we had just tons of shows a week. Like it was crazy. And the train was really dry and horrible for singing, honestly, but we were mic'd up and everything. Anyway, that it was very important to get the sleep, get your sleep, really just take care of your voice. Avoid acidic foods or whatever it is if you're sensitive to that sort of thing. Just really take care of yourself and really be prepared. Like when you perform, everything's kind of turned up a notch. Your nerves, your breath, everything just feels like crazy, like being under the hot lights or being in front of a crowd. This stuff goes on autopilot. So you really have to be on Like, it's gotta be in you. Like, the songs have to be in you. The chords, you've gotta really know what you're doing, because if not, a little thing can distract you. Anyway, that's what I would say. There's so many little things I can say about performing live. Over prepare, just over prepare, and practice performing, practice going through everything as if you have an audience. Like, perform for your dog before, or cat, before you go in front of people, because it's good to like practice the idea of it where you can't stop. You have to keep going. You have to keep going and just like act like everything's perfect, and it's a performance. And so that's what I would say about performing live, but I can answer more questions about that if you have any questions about that. Do you think you would do covers with your students? I have in the past. I think it just depends on student and the song, and you know, what makes sense. Yeah, I've done it. I did, right? Have I? Maybe I haven't. Maybe I'm just imagining it actually. I think just covers like in a lesson, maybe. I've plenty of times. I think that's what I'm thinking of. Like, I have a student where we haven't actually done a cover and like performed it, but practiced a lot, and like, I don't know. It just seems like I have, but I guess not in a performance setting. Anyway, since you mentioned Cheryl, I bought Cheryl Porter's courses. Okay, good. I'm glad. I'm curious to know how they are. I'm sure they're great. I've heard really great things about her courses. So that is good. Yeah, her vocal or her workout warm-up workouts are really fun. And she's a really great teacher, because I really like how she makes warming up and agility fun. Fun and honestly good ear training. Um, yeah, really, really good stuff, especially when it comes to like agility in singing. It's good to practice agility individually. So when you warm up, there's stuff to focus on that'll train your ear and your voice. You want to focus on SOVT exercises, so humming, lip trills, or a straw, woo, you can do any of those. SOVT is great for gentle warming up right out the gates. It saves your voice when you're singing a song. It helps with control. It helps with the aging voice as well, bringing those chords together. It's just really, really great. So if you look up SOVT or semi-occluded vocal tract exercises, they're great. Another thing you want to look for is like lifting the soft palate head voice. So, oh, woo, It doesn't always have to be slides for head voice, but lifting vowels that almost a yawn, but not really. It's more of a sigh sensation. But more on your voice. That's good for head voice. Another thing you want to look up or get familiar with is a little bit of chest voice. So, hey, your low range and bringing it up, or coming high and going into your low range. Really finding out like where your low range lives and where it's comfortable going up to, and then knowing when to switch into head voice or a lighter voice, a mixed voice. And then warm ups that hone in on mixed voice or resonance, as some of us used to call back in the day. So like nya 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 nya, meow 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 meow, neary neary neary, that kind of thing. You also want your warm ups to include that. So that would be like the full warm up, and then some agility. So is the one a lot of my students do, but you can do more. You can do more crazy ones. Try them on different vowels. Some vowel work. There's so many things you can do, but as a beginning singer, you want to try to hit a lot of that stuff in your warm up. That was long-winded. All right, they're amazing. Quantum leap in 30 days. I've been working with Great Vocal Coach since January, but literally a quantum leap using her course. Oh, well, that's good. I love a quantum leap. Did y'all remember that show, Quantum Leap? Probably not. That's an old show, and I was not actually watching it, but my parents did. And I saw Scott Bakula in a play when I was a child, and my mom said he was in Quantum Leap. And I said, wow, what's that? So, anyway, I love hearing about Quantum Leap. All right, y'all, this has been really fun. Quite the live. I mean, wow, we really covered a lot. If you have questions, please let me know now or forever hold your peace. No, you can leave them in the comments and I'll answer them next week. You should make a course. I actually do have a course. Thank you, Callie. Oh my gosh, you're like plugging my course for me without meaning to. Thank you. So, I do have a course. I think it's in the description. It's definitely on my website. It's on Udemy. Why am I doing this with my eyebrow? Because I love my course, but I don't plug it a lot anymore. If you take a voice lesson with me, you get my course for free, for instance. It's a great little bonus. Now, if you're like, no, 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 I'm a course girly, just show me the course. It's on Udemy or go to oliviapeck.com and you can check it out there. It goes on sale, so don't buy it at the full price, okay? Get it on sale. Get it on sale. I might do a mixed voice course. I don't know. Like I filmed it. I don't know if I'm going to edit it. If y'all think I should, let me know. Anyway, this was really fun. Thank you guys so much for being here. I literally cannot tell you how much I appreciate you guys. And I just hope that your singing journey gets easier and easier. The more you do it, even if it's not perfect, a perfect road, you will improve. Okay. Just stick with it. It always helps to get a second opinion. And if you'd like that opinion to be me, you can go to oliviapeck.com and sign up for a lesson. But most importantly, I just hope that it gets easier and easier for you. I really appreciate you guys. You're awesome. Keep shining, okay? Stay safe out there. Be careful out there. Take care of yourselves and each other. And I'm going to play the outro. Thank you guys. Thank you, Nicole. All right. Bye, y'all.